you make sure that you love each other, not because of physical attraction, not just because of physical attraction, but because you love who she is. We're best friends, and best friends don't keep secrets from one another. I guess one thing that I want to make sure she always knows is how proud I am of her. She is a beautiful, loving, caring woman. And I tell her that every day.
I was only 19 and a half when we got married, and he's 2 years older, but, he was in the Air Force for 11 years, and then we've lived in England. Our middle son was born in Anchorage, Alaska when he was in the Air Force. I just never knew I was going to lead such an exciting life. We moved 16 times, been a bit of a crazy life from time to time. And then with his 2 brain surgeries and, recovering from that and then he's had 7 brain hemorrhages that he lived through. So recovering from all those that was a different type of excitement. But anyway, we made it. With God's help, we made it. And we've had an exciting 55 years.
Her goal in life was to be the best mother, the best aunt, the best grandmother, best sister. I'm really proud of that. At first I thought to myself, all of her friends are going to college and looking to get a business position of some kind. And I think she'll feel left out. The more I thought about it, the more I thought, we can make this work. I had a little bit of hesitancy because all of our friends were going to have 2 incomes and we were only going to have 1 income. So I said, Sharon, if you'll help me, we'll make this work. And she says, what do I need to do to help you? I said, help me to get more education so that I can rise to the highest levels of a business and make a lot of money, and you won't have to work. And she said, I'll help you. So she went to work doing some, lower level jobs to help pay me, help pay my way through school. I worked full time, went to school full time, and kind of a funny story. On Sunday's the only day I had off. She was going to school 150 miles north of us. And so every Sunday morning, I'd get up at 6 o'clock and get in my car and speed up at 150 miles so I could spend the day with her. I got stopped for going 99 miles an hour by a highway patrolman. And he said to me, what's your hurry? I said, well, I work full time and I go to school full time and I don't have any time to see the woman that I love. And so I take Sundays to do that. And I want to get there and spend as much time with her as possible. And he says, you know what? I'm going to give you a warning because that's a good reason to speed.
Water? You want coffee now?
Sure.
I deeply appreciate how much she, as I said, is taking care of me and our 3 sons and our grandchildren, our sons, our daughters, our grandchildren. He really is a good grandpa. He's always interested in, what the grandkids are doing, just like he was interested in what our sons did. I mean, he was, a vice president, executive vice president, and more than one Fortune 500 companies. But he would get up and go to work early and make sure he was home by 5 o'clock so he could coach our son's soccer teams and made sure that he got to their activities in the evening, Boy Scouts, whatever it was. So, yeah, I really appreciate that. Not all fathers take time for their children. They're beautiful.
I love you, and I don't deserve you.
Oh, yes, you do. I love you too. Thank you so much.
I think the secret to our happy marriage is that I've never stopped training Sharon the way I felt when we first met, because she was 18 years old. I tell her every day how beautiful she is, because she still is. When I look at her, I see that 18-year-old girl that I met in 1968, and I treat her the same way as I treated her back then. I give her a lot of love and affection. I consider her and whatever she's doing, every time I act or say or do something, to make sure that it's going to make her happy. You know, when we were young, both Sharon and I were poor. Our families were poor. And we dreamed, but never really believed, but we dreamed that we would travel the world when we got older. And that dream came true. We've been almost every country in the world, been to all continents except Antarctica, and neither one of us have any desire to go to Antarctica. So, you know, that has made us both happy.
Yep, traveling was a lot of fun. We enjoyed that very much. I finally got me to start traveling. So,
and every summer, as soon as our children's school was out, we loaded up our Volvo station wagon with a roof rack on the top, just like the movie European Vacation. And we took a driving tour of Europe.
Around Europe, yeah.
We visited all the European countries. We made sure that our children were exposed to other cultures, other traditions, other ways of life.
So my golden rule is I think you should marry your best friend and make sure they stay your best friend, because marriage is, you both have to work at it. It's, you know, it's not easy. You're going to have problems. You're going to have some heartaches here and there, but you just work through it and stay together and be, you know, try to and make compromises. Also, I think no matter how old you are, still go out on dates. Yeah. We still go out on dates. Yeah, we're in our 70s.
I asked Sharon for a date the first day I met her, and she accepted, said yes. So I took her to a movie and to eat pizza and drink beer. She didn't drink any beer. In fact,
I don't think I was old enough.
When I told that story to my oldest son, he said, "Mom drank beer?" And
it's true.
Anyhow, she didn't turn me down then, and she's never turned me down since. One night, I came home from work, and I said, "Would you like to go on a date tomorrow?" And she said, "Yeah, what movie are we going to see?" I said, "Well, we're not going to see a movie. How would you like to go to London?"
Right.
Well, she was astounded. She said, "Are you serious?"
I was thrilled. I'd always wanted to go to Europe because when he was in the Air Force, many of our friends were stationed in Germany and other places in Spain. And so I thought, that's a great place to go. I'd love to go there. So,
but I was working for British Petroleum at the time, and they were wanting me to come over to assess the possibility of me and my family moving there and working at the headquarters. I took Sharon with me, and while I was there, I was responsible for operations around Europe.
Right.
And so I traveled to Paris and Brussels and Hamburg, Amsterdam. I traveled to all these major cities, and
yeah, I got to travel with you.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I think we play by my rules, which is rule number 1 is Sharon is always right. Rule number 2 is if you ever think that Sharon might be wrong, refer to rule number 1. So we don't really argue because, you know, it's fruitless. She is always right. She really is. All I've got to do is answer to her and everything's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, marriage is stressful. Moving is stressful. Getting your kids through school is stressful. You just have to do it, I guess. I don't know. Work through it. Relax when you can. Go on vacation. Yeah. Find some family time on the weekends to, you know, do things with your kids and go to the park. Take your kids out for ice cream. And yeah, you got to do some family things that are fun.
Brain hemorrhages and 7 debilitating strokes. And I frankly could not have done it without my wonderful wife, Sharon. I really appreciate everything she does for me. She was the epitome, or is the epitome now, of in sickness and in health. She took care of me. She gave up her life to take care of me, something that I felt bad about. But as she was my caregiver, one rule I adopted was to always give her some time to herself. In the early days after a stroke, I was unable to do anything for myself. and I needed to sleep a lot. So I would tell her that I was going to sleep that afternoon, and she can go out shopping.
So I could go shopping and get out of the house for a little bit. Yeah, which was nice. Very thoughtful.
It was a challenge, but between strokes and recoveries lasted anywhere from 12 to 18 or 20 months, 24 months. We did a lot of fun things together. I checked a lot of things off my bucket list. We went to the Seychelles. I went gorilla tracking, silver gorilla tracking. Ended up in a cluster of a family of 18 gorillas, and the dominant male came and stood directly across from me, 4 feet away, and stared at me. Fortunately, they taught us a little bit of gorilla talk.
I don't speak gorilla, yes.
So I did my best at it, and sure enough, it relaxed him. He realized that I wasn't there to hurt him and his family. We often are asked, of all the travel you've done, which would you recommend to us? And the answer we give is Africa. We traveled to East Africa 4 times. We had time to do photo safaris, saw wild animals as close as 6 feet away from us in their natural habitat. It was just very enjoyable trips. As I said, the last time we went, we added on gorilla tracking and a trip to the Seychelles. And the place we stayed was on the North Island. And we were there the first weekend opened after COVID had closed them down. We had the island to ourselves. And Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt had their honeymoon on this island. And we stayed in a house, not a cabin, but a house. And the house was beautifully decorated and comfortable, and
had its own little pool.
Had its own little pool in the backyard.
Yeah.
We had a pet sea turtle that lived in our backyard.
Yeah.
It was just an amazing experience.
It was it was like a second honeymoon. But the thing you liked best was the hunting the gorillas.
Yeah.
The silverback gorillas. They always wanted to do that. So we accomplished this. When did we go there? In 5 years ago?
5 years ago.
Yeah, finally got it done.
And I'm grateful that I got all of those things done when I was still perfectly mobile and still healthy enough to get around without any difficulties.
Yeah.